In a previous video, I said that this, the Vivo K101 Plus, was the best way to play Game Boy Advance games without using a real Game Boy Advance or Game Boy Advance SP. But a lot of people in the comments seem to think that using one of these was the best way to play Game Boy Advance games. Well, let's take a look at the DS Lite versus the Vivo K101 Plus. Hello and welcome back to Retro Core. So we are going to see which one of these two devices really is the best way to play Game Boy Advance games without using an actual Game Boy Advance. Let's face it, the original Game Boy Advance has a terrible screen. These two have good screens. The SP version of the Game Boy Advance is rather cramped, especially for those with big hands. These two are rather comfortable to use. So which one really is the best? In the previous video I did say this was the best. But some people seem to think that the DS Lite is the best. Well, let's take a look. First of all, let's check out the dimensions. As you can see, the DS Lite is a little bit smaller, so it will fit into your pocket easier. But just look at how Game Boy Advance games protrude from the bottom. On the Revo K101 Plus, they don't. They're flush with the case. Thickness, they are about the same. Although the DS Lite is a little bit thicker. The DS Lite is also higher. So, in my opinion, they are both pretty much the same when you put them in your pocket. Although I would go with this, because that would rather annoy me with this sticking out. Although, I guess you could take out the cartridge. Upon opening the machines, we can see the control layout. Again, the control layout is very similar. Although I do prefer the controls on this machine because we have a bigger D-pad and bigger buttons, and they do feel more comfortable to use than this and these. Next thing we got to check out is the screen. Which one actually has the best screen? Well, let's get a little bit closer and find out. Here we are with Densetsu Starfy on the DS Lite and the Vivo K101 Plus running side by side. Now the first thing you will notice is that the screen on the Revo is slightly bigger than the DS Lite. But another thing I noticed is that either the Revo is running a little bit faster or the DS is running a little bit slower. Either way, they are not running at the same speed, which you will notice when the demo comes on. These were both started at the exact same time, but one will start slightly earlier than the other. Now during gameplay you will not notice these differences in speed, but they are there. Now let me just tilt the screen on the Revo so it's at the same angle as the Nintendo DS Lite. Now, as you can see, they both have very reasonable screens. But I do think that the contrast on the DS Lite is slightly lighter than what it is on the Revo. The Revo seems to have a little bit more color depth to it than what the DS Lite does. Neither screen blur and both screens look very sharp. But as you can see, the timing out is becoming more apparent there. Now, something that a lot of people wanted to know in the previous video was if the Revo could play original Game Boy cartridges or Game Boy Color cartridges. Well, let's take a look. I don't actually have any real Game Boy cartridges, but I do have some Game Boy Color cartridges, including this one, which will work on an original Game Boy. So let's stick it in and see if it will boot. So let's switch on the Revo. And it just hangs there. Yes, this device cannot play original Game Boy or Game Boy Color cartridges. It just hangs like that. But maybe it can play Game Boy and Game Boy Color cartridges from an EverDrive. Well, even though that is kind of pointless because it does have a built-in Game Boy and Game Boy Color player, it's worth taking a look. Let's see if the EverDrive will boot up. This is an official EverDrive, by the way. Not a fake Chinese one. And no, the official EverDrive does not boot up either. So yes, the Revo K101 Plus only plays Game Boy Advance cartridges. Something else people were not too sure of. They thought that this might be an emulation machine, but no, it's an actual Game Boy Advance hardware clone. It's not an emulation machine. But anyway, the fact that it doesn't play cartridges is not really a downside, because the DS Lite can't play Game Boy cartridges either. In fact, they don't even fit in. They physically will not fit in the machine. So that's not a minus point against this machine. Okay. Now, as I mentioned in the previous video, you can play Game Boy and Game Boy Color games on the Revo using the built-in emulation software. Now, I did show a Game Boy Color game working and it didn't work. And I did say that it doesn't play Game Boy Color games. Well, that was a mistake on my half. Let's take a look here. It does play Game Boy Color games. There was something wrong with all the ROMs. I don't know what happened, but as you'll see now, we'll just stop on a random game right here. No idea what that is, but we'll load it up and it will play. Watch this. See, straight in. So this will play Game Boy and Game Boy Color games without any issues at all. And I think we picked probably one of the worst Game Boy Color games to demonstrate what is this garbage. Let's just pick another one just to show you that it will play more competent Game Boy Color games. And you'll also see that we get the nice Super Game Boy border as well. Lovely. Or the Game Boy Advance border, I should say. Excellent. So, no problem at all. Now, you may be wondering, can we play Game Boy and Game Boy Color games on a Nintendo Lite, DS Lite, using a flash card? Well, let's take a look. Maybe we can. I really don't like the way they protrude from the bottom. Anyway, let's switch it on and see if the flash card will actually be accessed by the DS Lite. Yes, it looks like it will. And it has loaded up all the files. Okay, let's play a Game Boy game. We'll go with Batman. Yes, we can play Game Boy games. Now, the reason we can do that is because the Easy Flash has a built-in Game Boy and Game Boy Color emulator, as well as a Famicom emulator. So we can play all those games on a DS Lite, but we can also play them on the Revo down there. One thing that is a slight downside is the size of the screen. I don't think we can change that. But the game does work. In fact, let's take a look at Batman on the Game Boy running on both systems side by side. So here you can see we've got Batman running on the Revo and the DS Lite. On the Revo we get the nice borders. On the DS Lite we don't, mainly because the Easy card doesn't support them. We can also see that we get a much bigger image on here than what we do on there. Let's start the game. We can see that the color palette is different. This has gone for the more traditional original Game Boy Color, while this has gone for, well, I don't know what it's gone for, but it looks a lot more blue in color. So the graphical effects work on both machines. And they do seem to be running at the same speed. Let's go forward together. 3, 2, 1. I'm getting some really cool stereo sound. Shame you can't hear that on the video. Alright, this is going to be a bit difficult playing because the button's on the other side. Let's give it a try. Ready? Yep, both are very responsive, no lag on either. They both feel great. So there we have it. The Vivo K101 Plus vs the Nintendo DS Lite. Which one do you think is the best for playing Game Boy Advance games? I know which one I think is the best. Which one do you think is the best? Battle it out in the comments down below, because I know you sure will. Alright, until next time guys, take it easy and keep on gaming. See ya.